ladies and gentlemen, I'm the film attorney. My client has a case. Exactly the cinematic rage. More often than not, the attempt to adapt a comic book into a movie usually resulted in a box office bomb, with the exception of a small few. Among that minority was the adaptation of James O'Barr's graphic novel, The Crow, which also ran as a comic strip for a few years. It's kind of hard to imagine this as a comic strip.
Oh boy.
And since the film saw huge success, Miramax decided a sequel was needed. Now, while most comic books have a plethora of stories and characters that would leave a film version demanding sequels, The Crow isn't really one of them. And since Brandon Lee's not returning for this film, they had to get a new guy. This is the hero in the film, Ash, and he's coming back to revenge the murder of him and his son. Now, this character isn't very deep. People weren't too impressed with this guy, so naturally they weren't too impressed with the film either, and tend to disregard it as bad. Now, the problems with this film can all be traced back to one flaw in the writing.
Weakness, just like the fucking Death Star.
But I'll get to that later. For right now, let's just look at some of the smaller stuff. Let's start with the main villain, Judah.
We all have our pleasures. Mine is the pain of others.
And that's pretty much all there is to this feller. He's not a very well-explored character, but neither is the guy in the first one. Hell, you have to read the credits just to know his name. But you did learn things about him, that he was bored with Devil's Night and wanted to move on to something new.
The idea has become the institution, boys. Time to move on.
While Judah, on the other hand, seems to be applying for a Cenobite position.
What mask will Death wear? Can you tell me that?
I see the face of one of your victims.
All my sins remembered.
You are one crazy motherfucker.
The underlings are great too, especially this guy. I mean, he's only in this one scene, but he's just such a natural-looking scumbag. If you've ever met a guy like this, you'd appreciate this character.
I think this Judah guy might be a little stupid. I mean, the guy said it himself.
I mean, come on, we can't kill off all the motherfuckers, huh? I mean, hey, whoa, there'd be no one left to buy this shit.
He should be rewarding him, not killing him. But of course, the writers needed to show this guy was evil no matter how clumsy it is or how stupid they make him.
Destroyed a pretty large quantity of these drugs. Men in this profession have been killed for far less.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
For most of the guys, killing's got to be accepted. Murder was the only way that everybody stayed in line. You got out of line, you got whacked. Everybody knew the rules. But sometimes, even if people didn't get out of line, they got whacked. I mean, hits just became a habit for some of the guys. Guys would get into arguments over nothing, and before you knew it, one of them was dead.
Spider Monkey is pretty ridiculous, but he's not around long enough to get annoying. Same with Thomas Jane's character, Nemo, or as I call him in this scene, the Finisher.
Is that for me?
Oh, yeah. We're gonna celebrate Christmas a little early this year.
Well, boy, your mama must be damn proud of you.
Now, Ash seems to fixate mostly on Curve, played by Iggy Pop. But why? He is the one that shot him, but the kid was shot by the Yellow Ranger here. Oh yeah, she's the Yellow Ranger. Of course she was. That's before the PC police decided Asians were not allowed to wear yellow. And the only explanation I can come up with is that Curve is the only one that may have been morally conflicted about the killing of Ash and his son.
Do you know what they call a gathering of crows? Curve? A murder. A murder of crows.
And even what Curve says to Ash before killing him sounds apologetic.
Nothing hurts us, boy. I guess you were just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Now, while he is a murderer, it doesn't seem to be something he particularly enjoys, exemplified by this scene at the tattoo shop.
Three people won. A house in the country. A little dog. Wife. 2 kids. And your fucking head stapled to my pussy seat.
What?
Pussy seat.
Pussy seeds?
Pussy seat.
Well, let's turn on the captions.
Pussy seat.
And she sticks a tattoo needle into this fella's eyeball here. Now notice the difference in their demeanors when they're leaving. Now Curve couldn't take it. He's outside dry heaving. And she's looking at him like...
Pussy seat.
But Callie does seem like a more fitting object of Ash's revenge.
Man, the movie's pretty fucking colorful. I mean, there's lots of colored lights everywhere. Like, there's some blue and red lights, but mostly the fucking lights are like green and yellow, which gives everything the color of fucking piss. I mean, really. Look at this. Everything's piss colored. What the fuck is that about?
Now the atmosphere reflects the things that destroy it. In the villains were arsonists who threw a Halloween shindig called Devil's Night, where they set fires all over the city, which the film symbolizes by having it rain like a cow pissing on a flat rock throughout the entire movie. It only stops when Eric confronts the killers. City of Angels, the bad guys are drug dealers. The film's environmental reflections of its destruction are actually the film's strongest quality. The toxic fog gives everything a green and yellow hue. Both are colors most associated with sickness. It's also a very desolate, wastelandish looking place, symbolizing loneliness of addiction. With drugs also comes sex businesses, hence the fetish clubs and the nudie booths.
Wait. She's Sarah from the first movie, isn't she? Well, yes, this is Sarah. So since the last movie, Sarah has changed her entire personality from the streetwise skater kid to a block of wood but with less blinking. So Sarah's all grown up and become a tattoo artist because she showed so much interest in that in the first movie.
Well, you gotta figure Sarah was 13 in the original movie. She's in her mid-20s now. People change.
I was a geek in high school. I had really short hair. I played Dungeons and Dragons. I had a bug collection. I ate my boogers. My name's not Chaz. It's Chester.
I think a better question concerning this character is why is this Sarah from the first one? The answer, so she can paint lines on Ash's face. Otherwise, her being Sarah serves no purpose to the plot whatsoever. And that's also part of this fatal flaw which I'm about to discuss right now. It boils down to these two characters. The roles of these characters should have been reversed. She should have been the crow in this film. Now, protecting or revenging a romantic interest is best personified by a man. In terms of revenging or protecting paternity, it's better personified by a woman. Not to mention she's the main character anyway. And there's even a better setup for how they could have come to been murdered. In Ash's backstory, the kid hears a gunshot and runs towards it like an idiot. Here's the Sarah alternative.
I'm talking about this fucking tattoo thing.
Now this would have made the curve fixation make a lot more sense, and this would have made the fight with Callie a lot more meaningful, and a lot more hot. And she also would have been a perfect contrast to this dreary, ugly setting. Imagine all the things that Ash does in this film being done by Sarah. Rising out of the water, walking out of the fire, appearing in this nudie booth. Whatever this is. Even the soundtrack single and music video for this film was Hole doing a cover of Fleetwood Mac's Gold Dust Woman. Now, if Sarah's not the main character of this film, why this song? And if she is the main character, why not just make her the Crow? Now, this bothers me more and more every time I see the film, but City of Angels is still a worthwhile watch. Now, despite this flaw and all the little ripple flaws that come with it, I do feel like the Crow City of Angels deserves a little more credit than it gets. For one thing, it keeps the tone of the original film much better than the following sequels. Even the third one, especially the third one, the one that managed to trick everyone into thinking it was better than this one somehow. And if it wasn't for the miscasting of, well, the most important character, Crow City of Angels would have been a perfect sequel. I'm the film attorney. For right now, the defense rests.